Hi guys, Martin here. Welcome to my final reveal for my Eduard 148 scale limited edition Hawker Tempest Mk.V. My entry into Tim Hedworth's RAF 100 in scale group build, celebrating the centenary of when the Royal Air Force was formed back in 1918. So this kit was kindly given to me by Mr. Bob Dyer. Here's the box art. So just a discussion about the kit before we go on to the slideshow so you can see the finished result. Kit overall, it's pretty good. I enjoyed building it. There is a few flaws which, if you followed this build, I discussed, you'll be already aware of those. So just to reiterate, I've listed them. The most obvious one was on the mating halves of wings, horizontal stabilizers, and the fuselage halves. They used what are called Z-pin ejectors to keep the parts on the moving half of the mould. So you got these slugs, ejector pin slugs, that are undercut to help it pull over onto the moving half of the mould. You got to cut those out, all of them, before you can glue halves together. Now, gluing halves together, the part line faces, the mating faces, are all flush. There's no location pins locating into any holes on the opposite halves of the fuselage or the wings or the horizontal stabilizers. So all you can do is put them together and align them as best as you possibly can, using some tape or elastic bands, whatever your method is. And then when things were glued together, there was some attention needed to some of the seam lines, but nothing drastic. I used some sprue goo, let it set, smoothed it down, and Bob's your uncle. The propeller assembler, you have a little pin, shouldered pin that has to be glued in at the fuselage assembly stage. So that's fixed solid. It has to be fixed solid, otherwise it's just going to fall inside the fuselage halves. So you glue that in place, and then the propeller is glued onto a spinner back plate. Spinner goes on top, and then that slides over that spindle, but there's nothing to stop it coming off unless you glue it in place, and then it won't rotate. So if you want it to rotate, you're going to have to do what I did. I scratch built a little bushing, used some sprue, drilled down the centre, cut it to length, put the back plate in place with the propeller blades glued to the back plate, put the bushing over the spindle, glued that onto the spindle as far down as possible without trapping it too much. Let that set, glued the spinner onto the back plate, and then the propeller could rotate and it couldn't slide off. It was held in place by that little scratch built bushing. What else? Oh, there's a couple of parts that are incorrectly numbered in the instruction manual, so look out for that. It's PE parts. PE parts have been numbered incorrectly. And what else was there? Oh, the pea and resin cockpit comes with a lovely pea and resin cockpit, but because the aperture for the cockpit, as you look into it, it's very small, so you hardly see anything. So I didn't want to waste detailing all that resin and PE detail, making a nice job of that and losing it inside the model. So I decided to use the injection molded cockpit details, put those in place, and then I've displayed the PE and resin cockpit alongside the model itself, so you can see everything, all the detail. I scratch built some seat belts for the injection molded one that are contained within the finished model, but the PE resin comes with PE belts, so I didn't have to scratch build for that. Alright, so overall, apart from what I've just discussed, everything goes together nicely. It's got nice um, panel lines, nice fine panel line details, not overly done, and it's a nice representation. It looks like a Tempest and sits nicely. You can have the canopy closed or open. I've got it in the open position. I like to do that because I've got it sitting down on its wheels. Undercarriage is down, it's not up in a flying position, so sliding canopy's back. What else? No, I've enjoyed the build, and when I decided to display the resin and PE cockpit, it looked a little funny just sitting on the floor next to the model, so I decided to make a table for it. Scratch build a table, and then the scratch build and a table became a scratch built base, and I thought a museum display. So I built a base that's got like a walkway. I got some rope barriers that I scratch built and some scratch built information boards. Shrunk down some printed information, stuck those on the information boards. I was going to take it further, and I still will. I was going to put walls in, windows, some roof joists, do a section of roof, bit of roofing, and put a power pack in the base on the underside because it's 1 inch thick, so I can chop out the bottom of the part of the base, put in some wires, do some roof lighting dropping down above the display, do some floor lighting, put some doors in at one end of the walkway as if it's going off to another section of the museum, and do some posters on the wall, etc. I will do that. I'm always ordering some parts to allow me to do that. Some plastic, bar and rod and flat plastic sheeting. I've got some clear styrene for the windows already, and I've got some foam boarding to make the walls. But once everything's together, I will finish off that little museum display. Not enough time now. It's now Saturday the 7th of July. England have just won their quarter-final game against Sweden 2-0, and the Russians just lost to Croatia on penalties. So we now know that England are playing Croatia in the semi-finals. England, England, England. Yeah, baby. 2 games away from aloft holding up the World Cup since '66. Will we do it? We're yet to see. On Wednesday we'll know if we're in the finals. Alright, so the final reveal you're about to see has some pictures showing the little museum display base and some of just the aircraft alone, so you can see the aircraft close up without being distracted by the little display base. So that's it from me, guys. If you've got this kit, you now know of the little flaws that come with it, but it is an enjoyable build, and it turns out looking like a nice representation. I enjoyed it. Enough said. So let's move on with the slideshow. Thanks for following along, those that have. Thanks for the comments you've left, and thanks for watching this. Greatly appreciated. Until the next build, the Bomber Command Buddy build that I'm hosting, starting in 7 days' time. I'll see you then. Tally-o, chocks away.